Just to take a sort of step to a more practical approach, I'll just sort of read through some, example use cases of how AI could help a business. Again, using your existing data, this isn't something new. You don't have to sort of implement a system that has to start creating this data for you and you only see value in a few years. You've got the value already. This is just about unlocking it. So let's just take the example of a software company, right, that sells software. And I'll just sort of go through 5 kind of areas around this that, exactly what we're talking about here, where you can actually extract that value. Things like demand forecasting, right? Predict seasonal demand for your software. Maybe you have tax software. Obviously, there's a definite season for that. And that seems like a straightforward one. Okay, it's tax season. Obviously, I'm going to sell more. It seems like a simple use case, but there's a lot that actually goes around that. There's a lot that's built into that, right? It's your server capacity. It's your support staff. It's your anticipated website hits, your sales agents, all of that feeds into it. And if your software is a bit more ambiguous and you may have spikes throughout the year, maybe, you're writing software that helps restaurants, manage stock inventory, and there's certain, as the year goes by and certain events happen or something a bit more nuanced, you're going to need to understand, okay, well, how many support staff will I need? How many more sales agents should I bring in for this next quarter? And it can be hard to answer that question. And if you have the experience in it and you have the existing sort of, use cases built up around this, sure. But if this is something that's a bit more nuanced, you want to be able to try and do predictions on that, right? And this is what I'm saying around demand forecasting. Like, okay, let's look at our previous data. Let's see what it looked like. Let's see, okay, what did it look like when we had 5 agents? Were we able to get through all our support cases quickly enough? During this time of the year, what about, in a month's time? What about in 2 months' time? What about in 2 years' time? Where do we see these trends going? Can I be a bit preemptive around this? So any kind of forecasting is just great for this because, again, it's looking at all different aspects to it and understanding, okay, even the supporting infrastructure around your product, how can you scale that up to sort of meet that demand and how can you predict that demand coming up and be ready for it, right? So that's an example of demand forecasting. You've got the data already. It's there, perfect use case. But another one, obviously, is churn prediction, analyzing user activity to identify customers who are not fully utilizing their subscriptions or showing signs of dissatisfaction. This is a bit more nuanced than even the first one, because how can you decide or how can you determine if someone's unhappy with how they're using your software? It's not obvious. It's not like they're, sending through really unhappy support requests and saying, the software sucks and they're canceling their subscriptions. You can kind of sort of see these patterns emerging from the behavior. When originally they got their software, they're logging in every, 2 days, now it's every day, and now it's every, week, or it could be even like, less nuanced. So log into it every day, but they're sort of, not really using the full suite of what your software can offer, and they're only using a small niche part. And that niche part may have a lot of competitors within your market. And you sort of realize, okay, if this is the value that most of my subscribers are pulling out of my software, I really need to put more marketing and a bit more push behind what else my software can do, because obviously we can see that that's not being used to its potential and we could lose these customers. Or just sort of seeing, just all their social media sort of interactions and how social media is sort of talking about your product. And that can be something that's extremely hard. That's a lot of data, right? Especially when it comes to social media. You're not talking about, analyzing a few support cases. You're talking about analyzing, 10 different social media platforms across, 10 different sites. That data is existing. It's there. We can, pull value out of that, look in the history and sort of see. Let's look at our 100 customers that we lost last quarter and actually look at all their trends, look at their social media, look at how they use the software. Let's build up a model around what that looks like and then start seeing, can we predict, are other customers going down this road too? Let's try and get ahead of that and try and understand, what's happening here and put resolutions in place for that.
That's an interesting point. Just thinking when we're building something for like conversion rates for clients that, they're trying to increase subscription rates and they're trying to, let's say they're competing against other companies that are selling the same thing, same service or same whatever. It could be insurance, it could be energy, it could be whatever. It's interesting to see, like, I'm sure when you talk to customer service, you're going to get the same kind of problems that they're going to complain about. Oh, the price is too high. Why did it change? Things like that, where the customer services then walk through a set of like how to answer these kind of negative things. With the AI, just identifying those things through the feedback or through the data, you can then anticipate that in the future, knowing like, hey, we know that during this time prices increase, so we're going to send this out automatically to these clients and let them know like this is normal or whatever the case is, or this is why, and be like transparent. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of like automation that can happen because of that. that's going to be really important to mine that data.